Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to EX Saturdays, the monthly edition, I guess now. We've been about 30 plus days since we've been here, but we are back once again. I'm Dynamite.
I'm Ham Jams.
And I'm Seth.
Mitchell.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here to, talk about some topics. We're going to go over a few things that's been happening in the FGC recently, which is nice. Nice to have FGC news activity, especially given what's going on. So we'll be covering off Arc Revo. We'll be talking about some rollback in King of Fighters and Guilty Gear Accent Core. And we'll be talking about spectator mode and Mbon. We're just going to slip that in as a fighting game for right now. You can at me later. We'll deal with that after the podcast.
I mean, it's live, bro. They can at you now.
They could, but I'm not going to respond, is what I'm saying. So, that's going to be what it is. And then we're also going to talk about some Guilty Gear Strive presentation thoughts and just thoughts on the game, the release model. I know a lot of people have been talking about that as well. The DLC, different.
I can't believe I have to pay for video games.
We'll get to it. Ham, please. Hold on.
What the fuck?
Please. So first and foremost, we're going to be jumping into Arc Revo. Arc Revo Midwest was last weekend. For those of you who did not know or do not know by now, Low Kick was co-producing that with Arc Systems, and it was pretty good. I had a good time, but Arc Revo Southeast is happening right now, so you can pop open another tab on your Chrome and eat up some more RAM, but go to twitch.tv.
Oh yeah, I hope you got 64 gigs of RAM. If you ain't got 64 gigs of RAM, you ain't opening a second tab on Chrome.
Yeah. Twitch.tv/Arc Systems, Arc System U.
Arc System Works U.
Arc System Works U. Thank you. This coffee is hidden. I got a new coffee maker, and I made it like really strong, so like I'm seeing the frames right now. But I use Opera. I do not. Oh no. Okay. Well, pop open that second tab, no matter what browser you're using. Go ahead and check them out. It's getting started right now. And you can listen to us talk while you watch some Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle.
You watch the BB Tag.
The BB Tag, you know what it is.
Oh, BB Tag. I apologize.
Bring your A game. So let's jump into Arc Systems Works.
Say that.
Let's jump into Arc Revo. Sorry, Midwest. Dom and Seth here were part of the staff as far as running the tournament. Seth was streaming the tournament. Dom was TO / public relations / the complaint department.
Yeah, that was actually great. I also was moderating the chat, which I enjoyed the most.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It was actually,
public relations now for the anime community.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. It was just more horny than the usual fighting game.
And we put you in charge.
Yeah, I know. And generally, you see the collection of rems behind me, and you're like, man, that guy's got a lot of anime statues. But despite that, the chat was pretty cool. Yeah, just stop being so weird about it. And I'm not, by the way, I'll say this, I'm not condemning your horniness. I'm just, there's levels to it.
Yeah,
there's levels.
Yeah, there is.
But for the complaint department per se, really only had a couple of things. It was just people asking questions or feeling as though they'd been cheated in some way. Yeah. You have the guy that's like, I've been gone for 20 minutes. Why did I get DQ'd?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was great. But I think outside of that, for what I did, everything ran really smoothly. Chat was cool. Tournament ran itself, basically. It was really good.
Nice. Seth, from the streamer perspective? Because the way we had it set up, because Low Kick is that shit, we had 2 streams going on, like professionals. And it was dope. So Seth, you were the second stream, right? And you it seemed from for at least from my standpoint that you had some fluidity that you needed to be able to accomplish, right? Because of the way the bracket, games were taking a certain amount of time, people showing up. So how was it from a streaming standpoint? Like, knowing that you were streaming something like Arc Revo, which is obviously like a big event, right? Like it's a yearly thing that, for anime games, it is one of the events.
One thing that really did help was that the amount of prep work that we did, because Arxis gave us like a ton of assets, and they did all of the work when it came to like what slide to use and when, and like kind of the agenda for the day, essentially, like take ad breaks here and then and stuff, which felt good to have that structure going into a stream. But
dude, the ad breaks was that was run a show for we made that part.
It's good to have structure. So regardless, big shout outs to even Low Kick's production team, I guess, which is partly myself, but big shout outs to Ryan, Bryce, and Jackson Oscotts for getting getting a lot of the coding for the overlays and stuff done, helping me out with running certain scripts and certain things in OBS that I wasn't familiar with, but it was really just the collective whole, just kind of being a really, really well-oiled machine is what made the stream really easy to run. All I really had to do is just sit there and just listen to the commentators, get hype with them, and
at that point you're just hitting buttons, right? Like it's just changing.
It was kind of
punch a name, hit buttons.
We run Granblue pretty regularly on Low Kick Online, so it's kind of like I already understand the pace of the game and all the work that I can squeeze in between rounds and between matches and stuff. And I know the game, so I can know like this guy's gonna lose, like or vice versa. So I can already like prep the score.
Yeah, when you're on production, you don't have to lie to yourself like commentators lie to the audience. Like, oh man, he's saving up for that big moment, when in reality he's just getting freed up in front of an audience of thousands of people.
Yeah.
You just get to be like, yeah, this guy sucks. And he's you have the number queued up to go, he lost this game.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like outside of the regular brackets that we do, it's still Arc Revo. So there were like a lot of people that I was familiar with and a lot of people that I weren't. So it's kind of like even those new matches and those new experiences for me weren't like so. Like I was still so able to run the show because of how used to running Granblue I am, that I was able to still enjoy the game and enjoy the stream. So overall, it was like a really, really fun experience for me to like be able to sit back and just like do what I feel is comfortable and what people have like set up for me on the really easily. But I also just got to enjoy it, and it was a fun time. It was a really, really fun tournament. It was a fun bracket. The commentators that we had on were really, really knowledgeable, and their cadence and their back and forth was just pleasing to listen to. So, it was really chill. It was a really chill stream. They weren't the hype kinds of commentators. So it wasn't me like losing my shit back here and just like flipping the desk and everything, and then but like they would still like nice to sit back and learn and digest it, and they're like in all the downtime I'm able to like kind of break down all the things that they're talking about and the things that the players are doing. But it was chill because it was loser side. But even though stakes kind of you feel go higher when it's on the loser side of things, why is it that nobody watches loser stuff when the stakes are higher?
Because when you get put into losers, it's because you're a loser. Everybody wants to watch winners.
So there's a couple of reasons. I feel like the further down the road you get on the tournament, people do tune into losers, like top 32, top 16, obviously, because then there's the person who's really good there that's salty about being in losers early, and then you got to watch and see what happens to them. But I actually agree with you, Seth. I think that, despite the fact that early on losers might you might have some tournament upsets, but losers might be the level of matches might be a little bit lower. But I really do feel like it's an important side to watch, because 9 times out of 10, that's probably where you are in skill level, So like, it's good to see, how people respond in a high stakes tournament like that, while also being a loser. Yeah. So
I mean, I'll say this: there's been a narrative for the better of about a year from the 10-0'd people. It's like, stop streaming pools. It's like, stop talking. Just stop. People like watching pools. That's where I get to be put on stream, because I'm bad.
Yeah.
That's all I have to look forward to. Do you mean to tell me that I'm going to drop upwards of $500 for a trip out of state, and then I go, well, I guess I got blown up, and no one even had a chance to see it?
Yeah.
I think that, to me, the reason and maybe it's because I watch so much, like I used to watch a lot of tennis, not recently, but obviously not recently, but not last year. I enjoy watching losers because to me it's like watching round one tennis of a major. Like you're going to see, Serena Williams versus some lady, who just happened to run into a round one, and it's gonna be a blowout. Like it's gonna be a blowout, but it's still fun to watch. And then I also like, I like to watch the unknowns, quote unquote unknowns, or the lower ranked people play each other too, because it's a different type of tennis, and it helps you appreciate the Serena Williams of the world, right? Because you see the newer people at the sport, or with people who are not as refined, and then go back to watch Serena Williams and you're like, holy moly. So I like both sides. I think pools are important.
A video from a long time ago that I was watching where a guy was explaining that there was like 5 guys from Africa, and they were marathon runners, and they were so unfamiliar with like how we do things here and how nice we make it, that when they saw water as they ran past the tables and stuff, they just grabbed all of it because they were like, it's there. Yeah. I'm taking it. And then like they got to the lotion table and they just threw that shit out because they didn't know what it was for. Right. And then like you look at the rest of the people behind them, they won by like a country mile, no questions. And it's like, and then all the way in the back there's one guy that was just doing it just to do it. You should always have one guy there, or at least a few guys, so you can see the difference between African guys who are running their life off and random dude who has no idea what it's doing for scale.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. I think losers is very important. I think pools are important to see. Do you have to stream every pools match ever? No, obviously not. And there could probably be some more streamlining done to pools, streams, but I think they're important. I wouldn't want to see them away from a major. Like when we get back to things and they're in-person events and stuff like that, I wouldn't want to see pools disappear. Now, having said that, it could be, and at times it is a logistical headache for production staff. I mean, we've been through that as well, on a smaller scale, but I think it's important, and it helps warm up the tournament too, right? Like people, when the tournament goes live and you're streaming pools, people are going to show up 30 minutes late. Like, oh, it started, I didn't even know, like that. It gives people time to really kind of get into the stream, get into the chat, etc. So I like
during pools, that's like when I'm like, okay, well, let me just order pizza. Let me go grab some beer out of the fridge, whatever I need to do. That's what I'm doing then. And I'm also watching it. And then it's like, hey, it's a guy from Chicago. That's really cool. And then he gets blown out by some Korean Tekken player. And I'm like, wow. All right. Well, good stuff. I expected.
All right.
You took a couple games. Yeah. That was fun.
Oh, man. So that's cool. I think that, shout outs to, all the streamers and staff. Shout outs to the commentators as well for Arc Revo Midwest.
You mean like yourself?
Yeah, we'll get to that. So Jadalyn, Dostro did a phenomenal job on BB Tag. They were, for the long haul. Yeah, it was literally the gauntlet. And every time I hear Jadalyn hit the mic, she's getting better and better. Like it's incredible. Dostro, I've only heard him a few times, but every time he's on the mic, I'm learning something about interactions with the game. He's teaching, and it's really cool. I think they had a pretty good synergy, especially for two people who had to just run the absolute gauntlet. It was like 3 hours and 30 minutes or 4 hours of commentary just straight through. Obviously, there were some breaks, but
breaks, but like
that's some work, man.
BB
that's
Tag, we in our mind was like just like a 3-hour tournament tops, and it was wrong. Not tops. It was not that. And that's okay. Like it did cause some slowdown Grand Blue end, But we ended up finishing Grand Blue way ahead of schedule, so like, so it didn't matter. But we did get complaints from people having to wait for their match forever.
I mean, that's gonna happen.
Nobody cares.
It's
I'm sorry, man, that you couldn't play your match right now, but it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it's more difficult. Obviously, it's an online tournament, right? It's not in person. It's not like we can grab the person and it's like, okay, you're in top 8, but you have to play this match. Go over here. The setup's turned on, ready to go. All you got to do is plop down and play the match. Like, that's not the situation we live in, because the person has to actually turn their game off, right? Open up a different game, boot up into it, go online, get the the lobby information from their opponent, play that match, then turn that game off, boot up the other game. So like, it's a difficult scenario, and sometimes it's unavoidable. I mean, it is what it is. It's like you said, it's the nature of the beast. But
and Chicago just so happens to have people who are good at BB Tag, and also good at Grand Blue.
Yeah, so I mean, that's gonna happen, and I'm sure it's gonna happen for the other tournaments as well. But also for Grand Blue, the commentators, Swell and Monkey Business, shout outs to them, especially because they were kind of thrown the randomness of like, okay, you're going to be doing winners and losers. We're getting this started, right? And so they were kind of thrown into a little bit of a chaotic situation. Handled it extremely well and professionally. Was definitely happy to have them there. Obviously, Zero and It's Brad, fantastic duo. I really did enjoy It's Brad's commentary. This is the first time I really heard him commentate, so it was nice to kind of hear him on the mic.
But it was easy to hire him.
Yep, that's true. His reel actually, on a side note, his reel was tight. Like, his reel was actually tight. Like the way he has his reel set up.
Consecutive 4-panel.
It was
like he's talking about one thing while the other one has like muted game, and then it would freeze that one on the left, and then it would start playing the one on the right with sound. Well, the one on the bottom left was doing the same, and the one on the bottom right, it jumped from panel to panel.
It was like
a comic book.
It really was. It was tight. Like somebody would get counter hit, and then it'd freeze, and then go to the next frame out, next panel afterwards. It was nice. It was really nice. If you haven't seen It's Brad M's reel, go ahead and take a look at that because it's really cool. I think that it's actually, so I was taking notes from it, like, oh, this might be something. I might have to cop this real quick. It was
people
nice.
Are saying like they're trying to put a reel together. People are always just like, just keep it simple. Just highlight the things about you and your chemistry with other people. But it's like, I want to see reels that do that. I want to see reels that are creative and see reels that kind of, you don't need to flex editing skills. That's not the point of the video. But it's just like, it makes you stand out. It's like when you have like color on your resume. No one cares, but it kind of makes it stand out, and it's just like, hey, this looks nice.
It was a level of complexity that didn't take away from the simplicity of his skills, and that was the part that I felt did a really good job as well, because it wasn't like they were like flashing and lights coming all over the place. It was, I mean, obviously took time and effort to do this, but the transitions were smooth. It was simple to follow. It actually made it easier to follow, and I felt like it highlighted his skill a lot more. So big ups to Brad. I think that was an amazing reel, and he did a great job. Obviously Zero, I mean, what can you say about the guy? Professional, been doing the work even for years now, and one of those commentators that I feel like can adapt to any situation. It's one of the reasons why I felt so comfortable having him in that kind of top 16 or just mid slot, because I knew no matter what happened with the tournament, he'd be able to adjust and bring it home, and he definitely did. So, and he knows so many games. Like whatever game, for some reason, whatever game LKO is running, he'd be like, oh yeah, I got that.
Hey, you guys really commentate for that? Don't worry about it. I got you. MK? And I was like, MK? How did you go from anime to MK?
Yeah.
These are polar opposites.
Yeah. So
you could commentate ice melting.
He really could. Like he just has that knowledge and has that ability and adaptability. So big ups to Zero Syndicate as well. And obviously top 8 happened after top 16 as things go. It was St. Cola and myself. St. Cola the legend, by the way. That guy is he is a force for sure.
Think about it. This point last year, where was St. Who was St. Cola? Now, that man is.
He was commentating our locals.
Exactly.
He was at
Exactly.
Ignite.
It's like the how it started, how it's going meme. You know, like
Yeah,
the St.
hold
Cola
up.
for real.
Stop.
It was like
Please,
how it
please,
started
no. Let's
was
not-
No,
the Ignite
fucking
old man
stop.
room.
I can't do this. Before we
Barely-
move on,
Oh.
stop posting this fucking boomer ass 80-year-old Facebook user shit on Twitter. If you have Facebook shit to post, put it on Facebook for your old racist friends to look at. Because that's the only people using Facebook anymore. That and like weird swaths of fighting game players. But other than that, I don't use Facebook. I stopped using it because everything is the same. And then you go on Twitter and it's just like, how's it going? How it started? Oh, stop! Stop! It sucks. You know how Giuna crusaded against fucking tier lists? And everybody was like, yo, dude, tier lists are cool to get the conversation going. It's like, just stop talking about them all together. If they don't exist, stop, please. Just for my sake, for the entire FGC's sake. And then Panda Global assembled the entire Infinity Gauntlet, got every shitty tier list maker ever onto one team. It's happening. It's happening now. Don't be that guy.
For context, Dom doesn't like when people have fun. But anyway, St. Cola is doing fantastic. St. Cola, he like actually from this point on last year started from like nowhere. He was commentating our locals, yeah, like in the old man room, barely coming on, like just coming on to like the mainstream at the locals, and now he's like, I gotta commentate this is Chinese Capcom event CPT. So I gotta wake up
gotta
and
recycle my sleep schedule
45
so I can
minutes,
commentate
and then the next day I gotta commentate.
and then do CPT in an hour. It's like, dude, fucking.
I gotta commentate Fortnite internationals. You know,
Cola
he's doing
is,
crazy. He's doing
a grinder,
great,
man. Like when the pandemic hit, he
his
just,
eyes like
he
got
just
the
ran with it.
yeah.
You know? Like he just grinded it out. Every time there was a Street Fighter stream up, like 8 times out of 10, it was going to be Cola there, like commentating on it, and I was just like, man.
That's how people got to know. That's how people were just like every time they would watch Street Fighter 5, they'd hear the voice and they're like, "Who this fucking Cola guy again?" And then they started to like.
Well, I mean that's how it is oftentimes. I mean,
That's
you know,
true.
like to me, when you're grinding like that and you're entering different scenes, like EU scene for Cola or South American scene, that's going to be the response 9 times out of 10 because you're going to, people aren't used to your cadence, right? And so even if you're good or bad, they're going to be like, this is new. I don't know how I feel about it, right? Or just this sucks, right?
Yeah, like Dom.
But
yeah, I'm terrible.
But Cola's strength is that
new, I don't
he
like it.
really does study commentary. Like he
That's true.
really studies commentary for real. Like he's one of the few people and in the up and comers, even though I don't consider him up and coming anymore because he's essentially
made it. You
Yeah.
can't go any. There's no peak higher than that besides television broadcast.
Exactly. Yeah. So like,
And that's Seijan, Vicious, Tasty Steve Realm, and Yipes,
I mean, like.
and Gutex.
He's
but,
not far off. He's
let's
not
not do
far
that.
off. Like, if the Olympics were to happen, I'm sure Capcom would look at St. Cola's reel and be like, you know what? We need diversity.
I think so. I mean, I think so. Like Dom said, at the current state of the world, this is the peak, because, it is what it is. Maybe SFL, obviously, but outside of that, that whole production level type of thing, he's there. And so I don't consider him up and coming, even though he would consider himself up and coming, but he's done the damn thing, and I'm mad proud of him for it. So being able to have him on commentary for Arc Revo was nice. Number one, because he wasn't pulled into the CPT vortex, right? But number two, I really feel like he brings a different level of energy to anime commentary, which is really nice.
Because apparently,
Anime commentary is very like analytical because of how complex it can get. There's so much nuance in anime where the nuance is important. The nuance is like important enough to be like talking points in the community, whereas like other games, like there are nuances in Tekken, but you can still commentate Tekken and watch Tekken without understanding what those nuances are and still understand and have a good time.
this is where I feel like Grand Blue stands out. So, you know, and this kind of transitions into my major topic, at least for this podcast, is Grand Blue commentary. And just to wrap up my top 8 thoughts, you know, whenever I'm commentating with Cola, it is always like I describe it as a fast break, a 2-person fast break, because that's what it feels like often.
Like the candy bar?
And
Like the candy bar fast break?
No, like basketball.
Basketball.
What in
what
the
are you
world?
doing?
Hello.
Somebody fire this guy.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna sub in Loki for Seth. They live in the same place. So
Yeah, let's get Loki on here.
Y'all just look. All right, my bad. I'll just. No, but it does feel like a fast break because you know it's a 2-person fast break and we're passing the ball back and forth and you know one of the people are going to dunk on the defender. You just don't know who it is yet, but you know it's going to be nasty no matter what.
Facts.
And that's kind of how I feel commentating with Cola, and I enjoy it. I think it brings a different rhythm to anime commentary in general. But you know, having said that, moving into my thoughts on Grand Blue commentary and Arc Revo, and it being Arc Revo Midwest. You know, I did a breakdown on Sunday, kind of just like a short analytical thread of my commentary and kind of where I feel I am personally, how I felt I did, some of the moments I really enjoyed while on the mic for that event. And I did it on Twitter, so it's probably buried under millions of tweets by now. But
and retweets of things that we feel obligated to retweet.
True.
Including our own fans.
I might pin it, but my pin right now is more important to me than anything else. But we'll see what happens. But I think it was a great experience for me. So right after I did that, you know, there were some thoughts on Grand Blue commentary shared, and specifically because of the way Grand Blue is, Seth, I think that you're right. That in typical anime games, the analysis part can be entire like topics to focus on.
Yeah.
But Grand Blue is in a lot of ways a more simple approach to the anime fighter, right? Like there are no air dashes, you know, the inputs aren't necessarily super complex. You got easy inputs for specials and supers. So a lot of times what that does is that speeds up the pace of the match, right? Because, you know, there are less times where you're going to be talking about something from an analytical standpoint, because by the time you start talking about it in the match, it's already over. I bring that up to say,
if you really want to dig deep into something, it's the same problem with Soul Calibur commentary, where like, you know, hey, he could have mashed there and it could have worked, or he could have GI'd there, but if he was GI'd there, it would have been a level 1 of GI, and that's just not good enough. We need a level 3 GI, and like. The thing about Soul Calibur commentary that is problematic is that they do want to fit that entire thing in there, but because they feel the need to get those nuances in, they never sound interesting. Like
well, that and by the time you finish talking about it, like for instance, if Gran is, you know, spamming out crouching medium, you know, you can bring up the point like, oh, well, since the patch changes since release, he really can't do that, you know, and remain plus after so many times. Like you can't do, because by the time that's done, somebody got hit with counter hit overhead and go into a super or something like that. So, and I'm not saying that you can't do analysis during the match. What I'm saying is it is more difficult, you know, and the timing on that is difficult. And I bring all that up to say is because, you know, there are whispers in the wind about Grand Blue commentary all sounding pretty much the same, right? And you know, personally, obviously, I take offense to that in the sense that, yes, a lot of Grand Blue commentary can sound the same. But to me, that, you know, like any game can sound similar depending on the level of commentators that you get to.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And the fact that Grand Blue is a more, you know, is a simpler approach to the anime genre, it's going to seem like it sounds the same a lot. But when you have
the scenarios are very similar.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
I myself is not a Grand Blue watcher. I see someone in the corner. I'm like, they're gonna get thrown. They're gonna tech wrong. They're gonna then they fall on their butt. The person that's putting pressure on is gonna do counter hit overhead, and it's gonna lead to 75% damage. Yeah. And then that's the round. It's like super reductive. But that's such a common scenario that of course you're gonna hear that a lot because the game it has depth, but it's not Tekken deep.
Now,
It's not full caliber deep.
here's
It's different.
the one thing that I took away from when I heard that like people were talking about how Grand Blue commentary is different. Admittedly, I had to think about it for a while. I didn't want to say anything about it because I was just like, I had to think, and I had to digest, and I had to understand like all the Grand Blue commentary I heard versus all the Grand Blue commentary that I enjoy. Because they're two different things, right? And to your point, Dan, it's just like, yeah, you can apply that to any and all games. And I think the one thing that makes Grand Blue stand out in that is because it's new and because we're learning it in an environment that it's like, it's so meshed together to the point where we're not seeing a lot of like players stand out on an international or on even like a national level, right? Grand Blue commentary sounds somewhat the same because whenever you hear it, it's just like you just see the characters do the thing and you're not really like putting highlight, like there isn't as much opportunity to be put on the players and how they make themselves unique. Say for example, let's take like Sonic Soul's Matera versus Chris's Matera. You'll hear about Matera. You won't hear about Chris Chaos or Sonic Soul. The things that you'll hear about them are kind of like, you know, you can hear about most Materas. The things you'll hear about Grand, like how, oh yeah, well, counter hit into EX boots, into the corner combo, into super. It's like the structure for a combo is the same, and therefore the goals for each character or for the player is the same, so to speak. The overarching goal. However, like the ways that players approach that obviously is different because every player is different, and I think that that part doesn't get highlighted enough when it comes to Grand Blue, just because of the environment that we're learning in. We're not able to like take certain things away, and it's really because of the pandemic. It's because there haven't been events to like showcase players, like certain players enough to put that diverse points of learning out into the ether for people to take away from. It's like pockets of Grand Blue. So therefore,
I agree with that. I think that, you know, but so one thing that I always try to do, and this kind of leads into my next point on the topic, is I feel like when I'm talking specifically about analysis or differences of players or even character matchups, I'm always doing that before the match actually starts. So when, you know, when you're in the lobby screen, you're seeing, or if you're looking at the bracket, I personally, because I agree with you, like because the similarities and the way the gameplay is, you really have to dive deep to find differences in the characters, but they do exist between different players. And so I always try to talk about that during the, you know, the lobby screen when people are loading up, or right before the match, or just looking at the bracket, or even in between rounds, or right before the start of a round. You know, I'll say, okay, yo, if this is Have a Nice Day, you know he gonna be jumping. He's a Charlotta player, but so Have a Nice Day always takes to the skies. Does not matter how many times you anti-air them, they're going, if they can get that aerial approach on, you know Have a Nice Day is gonna have a great time. Or he's always jumping. Or Zerom, he plays Charlotta, usually uses the purple skin for Charlotta. One of the most patient players I've seen in Grand Blue in general, and then specifically on Charlotta. So I always do talk about this.
Playing patiently.
Yeah. So the one thing that's okay, perfect, because that was why I was saying there's Grand Blue commentary that I hear, and then there's Grand Blue commentary that I enjoy, and that actually is a perfect analogy of Have a Nice Day and Zerom, where like they're two very different. They're two very different styles of Charlotta. Where Have a Nice Day is moving upwards all the time. You cannot jump A, jump L all the time, non-stop. It's fucking annoying. However, Zerom so like really good at like spacing the balls so tightly to the point where like you can't punish that. It's like they'll recover in your face, and by the time you're like, he's already swinging. You know what I'm saying? It's really cool to see that, but it's even cooler to have it pointed out. It's even cooler when I listen to commentary and like I'm watching, you know, in my mind, I'm just like, oh, Charlotta, he's gonna, you know, be a gorilla, of course. But then when you're able to like, the commentators are able to like break down, like, okay, well, this Charlotta player is a gorilla in this way, you know? Yeah. This Matera
this gorilla has a silverback,
and therefore
doesn't.
Therefore, it's much more enjoyable to digest because it's like I'm learning in ways that
Importantly, you are looking for the thing that they point out. Because when you go into a match and someone tells you this is the type of player they are, and it's like, this guy's going to death fist 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Right? And then they hit him with the 5th death fist. You're like, man, that guy really does death fist all the time.
Really do
it's very valid. That's a very valid point.
Death fisting all day, right? And like, I think I wanted to get to this. We got away from it for a second. There's something important about being able to have these tournaments in person, in that some of the things that people do or say, you will steal as a commentator from the players themselves, and now that's your shtick. Yeah. You've stolen their tech, but because they don't stream, the world will never know.
Yeah.
You know, if I fucking call
it does happen.
6B, 6BA and Soul Charge Astaroth's, poking to spin the disc, the Beyblade, which we all call Beyblade, by the way. So if you don't call it Beyblade, I mean, you're out. This is what it is. But if somebody calls that the hot and spicy McChicken, and you say that and people go, that was great, but you stole it from, like, you met Rakudo at an East Coast tournament, it's like, that's just mine now. That is something that game is missing, is that you will never be able to steal the goofy little things that players call their stuff, or the strange interactions. Like, imagine if for the first, 6 years of Marvel 3, it was just muted. And then the first time you go to a tournament for it, somebody calls that shit sister. When Morgan clones Morgan and they just start posting.
Yeah. But you've lost that for 6 years, right? And so Granblue being a new game, so in the tweet where I broke things down, I talked about why I do the things I do like that. So Belial's universal overhead is, it's his little wheel kick that he does in the air. Looks like crack shoot. So what do? I call it crack shoot. I say he looks like Terry Bogard. I like to call him Terrence because it just has a little bit of extra spice on top. But that's why I do the two things that I do. For other times, I don't use a certain term. Like, I don't use Gorilla Blade. Like, you can probably find me using Gorilla Blade maybe once on all the times I've commentated Granblue. I don't like the term, and I think it's overused, so I use something different. I just call it a dash thrust.
What is it
about?
I
think it sounds stupid, so I
have a question. What is it about the term Gorilla Blade, and what is it about, like, terms that you won't use that lead you to not use it?
So to me, it's part of it is an aesthetic, is an audio, like, aesthetic thing. Like, I don't think Gorilla Blade sounds cool. I just it's okay. It's a personal thing, right? Yep. Like, I don't necessarily think it sounds very cool. So what do I call it? I call it the dash thrust, because I was like, what can I call this now? I'm just gonna stick with dash thrust because people know what that is. It's pretty straightforward. But for instance, crack shoot, it's fucking crack shoot. It's cool, So I'm gonna call it crack shoot when it looks like crack shoot, because
Gorilla Blade sounds like a Zoomer meme created by some like 13, 5 to 15-year-old kid, and they're like, who will really appreciate this, and they went into Giuna's chat and they're just like, Gorilla Blade.
Okay, so whenever it's like Gorilla anything, like, it depends on what it is. Obviously, like, Gorilla Blade, I feel like you can take that from most things. Like, I feel like Gorilla Blade can apply to a lot of things, but it's just like, when I hear Gorilla Blade, I don't think of Lancelot's thing. I think of, it's gotten to the point where now whenever I think of, like, Gorilla anything, I think of, like, did you see the memes that I posted, Dan?
Yeah.
Where the initial D gorilla,
Yeah,
it's dashing in. I just think of gorillas doing fun stuff because it's nondescript, right? For example, like, when we think Death Fist, that's the one image that comes to mind. That's the one thing, right? Hell Sweep, we understand that motion. Crack Shoot, we understand that motion. It's that one thing. Whereas Gorilla Blade is like, there are plenty of moves like that. We don't call those Gorilla Blade. We just call that one Gorilla Blade. And I don't think that that's fair, and I don't enjoy that all too much, because it's like, it's a generalized term that's used specifically for this one, but it's not going to stick to the other things.
It's, for instance, like Beelzebub's Karma, right? I call it the Hoover, right? Like, I think that's really cool. I think that that's something that, I enjoy, because it allows me to set up different things, different taglines. If it works out really well, I can follow up with the Nobody Does It Like You tagline. Like, I can do a lot of things with that name. I really like calling it the Hoover because that's, it's a vacuum. It does.
Yeah,
what it does.
It's like, that as a commentator, everybody's going to call it Beyblade. What are they going to say next? They're going to say fucking let it rip. Yeah. Don't be the guy.
Exactly.
Tell them about the Drasil.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You have no choice. You have to go with something else. If you don't want to sound the same, you have to do something different. And that's credit I can give you, because whereas everybody else is calling a vacuum, and it's like, oh, that sucks.
Or the big suck. Yeah.
Yeah, the big suck. You call it the Hoover, which is a vacuum, but it is a variation in that. It's like, oh, it sounds the same. I mean, clearly you're not listening, or you don't care,
Yeah.
or you wish it was you.
Or that.
I mean,
You know, and it's not like I expect the things that I say to catch on, and you know, I'm not that visible and all of that, but it makes it fun for me.
Yes.
You know, and it makes it fun for the listener, I hope. But you know, those are the type of things that you only get to hear from the commentators, to your point, Dom, right? Where in a regular tournament scenario, you hearing turns from players and comment, like it's all part of that genre. Granblue hasn't had a chance for that to develop yet, right? So like you're only hearing it from people who hop on the mic, who really think about like, okay, what am I going to call this move? And with a game like Granblue, you have to kind of mix things up, and there's some terms that you're going to use no matter what, like Tim's, of course, right? Like, yes, we're going to use.
Yeah, dude,
they're more like Crocs
the first
now.
time I saw that move, I was like, oh, yo, he took out the Tims.
Yeah.
And then I realized New York as an entire region was going to be saying that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
They're
They,
not
they
like-
cried in the Tims.
And
is
that's
the
why,
Tims
you know,
anymore.
in the very beginning when there were a ton of grands, I don't get to say it very often now, but you know, I used to call it the New York, right? Instead of the Tims, because I wanted to add something different. So, you know, it was New York and EX New York, and that was fun. Unfortunately, we don't see as many grands now, so I can't use it as much, but it's still in the repertoire.
How is he still not played at that? Like,
So, I don't know.
he
I
is
don't know.
stupid.
But yeah, I mean, NT brings up a good point. Like with scoops, everybody calls throw scoops, right? And it's one of those things, like you said, Dom, where it's like, don't be the guy, or the person, I should say. Don't be the person who's just not, you know, it's like you're obviously avoiding it. It's a scoop. It's a scoop. It's a scoop. But how do you use it, right? Like I like to say, if people get thrown like twice or thrice in the same round, especially back to back, I call it the Baskin Robbins, right? Because it's like you're getting 31 flavors, you're getting a whole taste of all the scoops, right? So that's my spin on it, right? So there are ways, and I do that in Granblue. If you ever see a Ladiva on the screen, I'm going to probably do that, and there are ways to make that game sound different. Where I feel like if you're, you know, just watching Granblue commentary, maybe you haven't seen high level Granblue commentary before. But if you're saying that it all sounds the same, to me, it's just kind of like, well, maybe you just haven't heard the right people then, you know, because it is different. And where the analysis comes in is not going to be the same for other games. It's not going to be like Street Fighter V or even Tekken or even, you know, Soul Calibur or any of those games, because the pacing of it is much different. You're usually going to find the analysis, if it's energetic commentary, you're usually going to find the analysis between the rounds, after the rounds, or right before a round starts.
Yes.
That's
I think
probably
that's
where
something
you'll
that's
find it.
something that's interesting in you know, as somebody who you know where I stand with Granblue, where I think the game is fucking boring. But the time that you are going to get analysis in, I think, is during the neutral, which is actually pretty long in that game.
Depends,
Neutral
but yeah,
lasts for a while. But then when it's over, it's fucking over.
it's done.
That's
done.
pretty much it. So it's like the second neutral ends, analysis stops.
Yeah.
The neutral's not, by comparison, neutral's not that long. Granblue.
It depends on what
I would
characters.
say like neutral in Granblue is similar to neutral in Street Fighter V now.
Yeah.
Now, not back in the day, but now, where it's like it is a lot of, you know, you have like Catalina and she's throwing out her fucking best button from half fucking screen, and the opponent's like, I don't want to get priority buttoned out of it, so I'm not gonna swing into it, and I'm finna shimmy for a while, you know. By the way, I ironically use the term finna. I think it sounds stupid, but it's also really funny that the word is used at all. Anyway,
I think you talking about footsies.
Say what?
I think you talking about footsies, because neutral in Granblue is very footsies focused.
Yes,
but that it's like the pace of that isn't
Unless
any
you're reliable,
slower
we'll
or
get to that later.
what?
Oh, hello?
It's not any slower than like like you said, Street Fighter or like Sam Show or Dragon Ball.
Oh, well, Sam Show is all.
Even like other Sam Show is all almost entirely. Until you're playing
the
characters
Oki it exists.
until you're playing like low high mix like Ukyo or Shizumaru or
She's Shizumaru.
Hey,
That's a
but-
special boy, right?
or
there.
Iroha now. But
Play Sam Show.
Yeah.
Yo, you
Well,
want to play
I
Sam Show?
would,
after this?
but you know, it doesn't have a lobby system that way.
It has
Anyhow,
online? But anyway,
I just so and I don't want to spend too much time on the topic, but to me it's like if you were listening to Arc Revo Midwest, right? I feel like yes, you had different styles of commentary. You had Swell and Monkey, you had Zero and Brad, and you had Cole and myself. And while there might have been some of the terms being used, I listen to my own commentary almost immediately after I do it when I get the chance to.
It's true. He did the same thing for when we did fall fights. Like the in between days, he messaged me and it was like 2 a.m. and he's just like, "Yo, Ham, this is what you need to do better." Hey,
Yeah, yo, like that's
bro.
he's like,
Bro, I'm sleeping, bro.
It's 3 in the
It was a
morning.
long ass day.
I think Arc Revo Midwest is a perfect example to say, like, to showcase all the different styles and different types.
Yeah, because it went in steps.
Yeah.
You did have at the beginning very, very analytical.
Yep.
And then in the middle, you had a combination of both. And at the end, you had almost explicitly hype. So like it was like a step ladder. And we built it that way intentionally.
Yo,
From the level of production, I can tell you, when we made the fucking schedule, that was why we did it like that. Because in the beginning, you need to have pools to assemble people's thoughts and have them understand what they're looking at. In the middle, you still have to hold the hands of the general viewer who has no idea what they're doing, but they know what the commentators from last time told them, and that's enough knowledge to carry them. And there's still hype. And at the end, figure it the fuck out. Now we're just excited to see this shit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. It went like that intentionally. If you think by chance that it all felt the same, then you didn't listen to it all, or you're just talking out of your ass, or you're just upset.
Not trying to, pull anybody's soup, but big shout outs to whoever did the commentary assignment.
It's me and Dan.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do that. But anyway, Grand Blue commentary, it's their gems are there. But they're gems. I think that it's just a tribute to the way that the game has evolved and the way that people have learned it and the way that the amount of exposure that general populace has had to be able to commentate it and watch it. And I think that it's gonna prove well in its favor like later on down the line when like where we're at now, if things sound homogenous, like later on down the line, it's going to really like just.
I also think that, and this is my final thought, is that
Yo, Maury?
Dude, I'm sitting on the step.
Wait,
right
it's
now.
Jerry Springer. I think Jerry Springer.
Yeah. I'm sitting on the step right now.
Hell yeah, daytime TV.
My final thought on it is if people who say that Grand Blue commentary sounds the same, it's most likely because you're only looking for people who've commentated other games at high levels and who have the notoriety in the scene, in the fighting game scene to do it. And if they're not doing it, then you're not paying attention to it. And that's honestly how I feel, like 100%. Meaning,
sure.
like the reason why a lot of people get like, oh, this is great, sounds so different, is because you're looking for the same people to do it. But honestly, those people aren't doing Grand Blue commentary. So like, it's going to be new people. It's going to be things that you have to really seek and learn new people. And those people will have opportunities coming up, especially with this Arc Revo kind of circuit that's going on.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of recycled talent. Now, I will tell you a little bit of info is that we wanted to hire as many people from the Midwest as we could when it came to doing commentary, because in my opinion, no one cares about the Midwest. So we have to highlight our own people because those are our people. And it's like, well, yeah, Zero lives in California, but Zero's from Michigan.
Yeah, he's hella Midwest.
he's from Michigan.
Yeah, like
and Ostro's in Central Illinois. Well, no, actually, he's in Chicago. He's in Chicago.
Yeah.
He just, I don't know how he's so close with the Central Illinois FGC. Maybe it's for school.
But Jadelin's Midwest. So we did our best to get as many Midwest people on the mic as possible.
Yeah.
But oftentimes Midwest goes overlooked, and I'm not, especially in this situation. And I'm not, you can at me or whatever the hell you want to do, but I give props to all the scenes in the FGC. but I'm also going to, you know, speak some reality, you know, about the situation. And I honestly feel like the thought, if you came out of Arc Revo Midwest saying, the commentary wasn't really that notable, it all of the blocks did the same thing, you're kind of taking a shit on the scene, and I take offense to that, because number one, it's not true, and number two, it's a very kind of like, not really going to put thought into it approach, and and because we don't have, you know, the big names coming in to do the Grand Blue commentary
Intentional,
well, and not only intentionally, but in general. Like, think about Grand Blue commentary right now. You don't see those names there, and it's for whatever reason. I'm not shitting on anybody that doesn't want to do it. Don't do things you don't want to do. You know, I think Street Fighter V is a great game, but I don't do commentary for it because I'm not passionate about the game like that. So I don't take a dump on anybody who doesn't want to do Grand Blue commentary. I'm just saying, the names that you're used to jumping into the pool when a new game comes out, and, you know, the commentary's there and you're looking for those names, they're not going to be there. So what does that mean? It means that we have to grow the pool that's there, and you also have to comment and actually critique the people who are doing it if you want that pool to get better. I'm not saying my commentary is perfect, but I'm saying don't give me a lazy analysis of it either.
Yeah. I think that I will point out that if one of your favorite commentators was not on Grand Blue or BB Tag commentary, it's because they didn't apply. And if you want a good indicative note of how much people care about the Midwest and their talent, look at the people who are commentating an East Coast tournament, a West Coast tournament, and then look at who commentated the Midwest tournament and who applied. Now, with this information that you can put together, if you look at the people that are on commentary versus the people who are not, I mean, for our stuff versus the people who weren't on the other stuff, who are on other things now, you can clearly imply that they do not even care to try to involve themselves in the community that they say that they foster.
It is what it is. I applied to every application to Arc Revo that I saw for Grand Blue in every region. Anytime it was an app up, I applied for it. Period. So
fingers crossed, I applied for First Attack.
Fingers crossed. Let's go. Good luck.
Anyhow, we can slide off, but, you know, I
think I see these applications. I never see applications that go live on Twitter. I'm trying to do Street Fighter, man. I miss commentating. Dude, I'm like always.
You literally know St. Cola as a real person. Just ask him where the opportunities are. He's probably got an Excel sheet up.
Yo, dude, straight up, just tell him swap you out Salt Mine League. You're in there. Boom.
I don't like asking people.
Free.
That's the other thing too.
I mean, you're gonna have to do some studying because I know you're not watching European Street Fighter.
Yeah, but I mean, he could do it. Seth can do it. Seth be playing around like he doesn't want to commentate when he really does. So he can do it.
You be wanting to commentate.
I think you got the potential. But
if I put in an application and I see that St. Cola got it, like an application, right? Like we put in our applications together at the same time, I'm be like, you know what, St. Cola is people are gonna have a much better time. St. Cola on the mic.
You gotta stop thinking like that though, because like legit, especially now with the way online is, people just don't want to commentate anymore. Like you'll get a slot for free just for the experience because you signed up.
That's true.
Like real talk.
So, I put in an application.
I mean, think about the way that it works now. Like for Dan, when Grand Blue was on the main channel, Valle hit him up, was like, "Yo, you're great, John Sly." Yeah. And that was it.
I put in an application for Reddit Street
Same
Fighter.
thing.
Yeah. I put in an application for Reddit Street Fighter because I like watching those streams. I like watching those players. That's a fun time. But it's also just like if I can regularly do practice or just regularly.
That's true. You're still trying to balance that player commentator thing, and you know, I'm a little dusty right now, so you know, I don't need to be, you know, in the tournament games.
I'm super duper dusty when it comes to playing the games. And I'm even dustier when it comes to commentating because I definitely haven't, like, whereas a lot of people grasp the opportunities. I know that it's going to sound really selfish, but I'm one of those people that is, I don't like commentating online because
that's fine.
The difference is it's gargantuan.
I mean, what is it about what is the difference to you?
it's like there's a thing about like being able to feel the energy in a room and transferring that energy to yourself. You know, like you see behind me right now. Shout outs to Ham's leg. He's back there licking himself right now. That's my audience. Do you think Ham gives a shit about 2 resets into death? No, he's a cat. That's silly.
I mean,
But there's a lot of people in real life that do, and you can feed upon that energy, and it tells you how to feel sometimes. For example, if you're watching Grand Blue in person, God forbid, you know, that ever exists again. You're watching Grand Blue in person.
man, whoa.
Well, not God forbid, but it's if I'm saying God willing, I should say.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I'm
I was
like,
about
damn,
That
this is
never
gonna-
happens again. You're playing, right? I mean, you're watching these people play, and Belial does some dumb shit that's privileged as all get out. And you would think that people would be hyped because it leads to 80% damage. When in reality, everybody in the room is just kind of like, oh, this character. And like, you can take that energy and redirect it into your own commentary. The energy is so important to me. I know how to feel based on the audience and how they feel. Even if I can't see them immediately in my eyesight, like I'm staring at a screen, we're over to the right. Like when I was at CEO, I was behind a stage. I couldn't see anybody, but I could see, like, I could hear them.
Yeah.
Just being able to hear someone be excited is enough for me to be able to carry that energy. I need people's energy to have that energy. So I haven't been doing it as much because it's like that difference is massive for me.
Yeah, no, that's true. And there are different types of commentators, and I don't want anyone to walk away from this podcast like, damn, Dynamite thinks if you don't commentate online, you're shitty. That's not what I'm saying. I understand when people are like, yo, I don't like it as much. I don't like it as much, but I do it for a number of different reasons, but I don't, think anyone who decides they don't want to do it is a bad person or isn't serious about the craft. I just, I would like it to be known and respected, given that this is what we have right now as a source of improvement and taken seriously, and so
yeah, we're definitely at the juncture where if you're saying online tournaments are irrelevant, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Because that's all we have.
Yeah.
Unless you live in Atlanta.
That's a whole different story. But speaking of living, afterwards we had a wake up from GG Strive. We haven't heard news from it from a little while, but they had a whole presentation.
I'm glad you wake up because I was big sleep through the entire presentation.
Man.
Yeah, you actually took a nap, and did not come
felt
back until the next day. So, but Seth and I were there. We were watching the stream. What were your thoughts on it, Seth?
Look, as a man coming from the outside, like I enjoy Guilty Gear casually. So now with Strive coming out is how I've been kind of like trying to dip my toes in and step into the anime community, the harshest of them, if you would believe it, because Guilty Gear is really deep and really complex, and there are a lot of veterans that are around that 9 times out of 10 are willing to help you out and let you learn the game. But there's always those instances where they want to be big assholes about it. So it's like, but that's just a common Guilty Gear player.
To KOF
it's just like,
everywhere.
welcome to my game. You're learning something? All right, let's see it. Dude, the way that Christian teaches me, I swear to God, the way that he teaches me is he'll tell me a situation. He's just like, oh, okay, so here's how you can get out of this mix-up, right? Oh, you can do like 6H out of this, or you can like, you can IAD over my beat driver, right? We'll just say that. You can IAD over beat driver. And I'm like, oh, great. And the moment I try, he doesn't let me IAD over beat driver. He's just like, I said you can. You won't.
Well,
That's the way that he teaches me. Yeah. I don't think that all Gear players are like that, but Loki does the same shit. So now I think all Gear players are like that. But basically, the Guilty Gear presentation was phenomenal because Strive has been like, we've been watching its development process for a while, ever since it released. Like we saw
the Frosty Faustings beta. Shout out to wearing the hoodie right now.
It was great. I mean, a lot of people had a lot of thoughts about how the game looked and how the game played, and Arxis was very, very clear that it's going to be very, very different from previous titles in Gear. They're kind of like rebuilding the game from the ground up while also still keeping the philosophy of Gear alive, and I think that that's actually a point that people are not paying attention to. I think people just want Exerd again. and Arxis is just like, it's not gonna be, and people are like, but I want it. So the one thing that is exciting for me is because I didn't play those games. This game looks awesome as shit, no matter what they show off. And I mean, like, it's the HUD development process is really cool because I'm gonna bring up a game that people may not remember. An old game called Skullgirls. If you remember when Skullgirls was in development, they released like the Kickstarter. When the Kickstarter was happening, they released, like basically the alpha game. There were still like missing frames. There were still parts where, like, if you would do a move, like if you would do Cerebella like 6H, 6 hard punch, there would be some frames where it would just like be the sketch, be the line art, like it wouldn't be done. And it's like, that's so cool that I'm in the developmental process with this, like I'm alongside the developers. It's so cool. And the HUD is the same thing. It's just like we've seen the HUD at its worst. We're seeing the HUD get worked on, and hopefully we see the HUD.
It's still trash, bro.
Look, what I'm getting to is that the Strive developers are like taking a lot of community feedback, and we're seeing it live. We're seeing it with every iteration that they show off, and I'm really excited to be a part of that, be a part of the development process. I think that all of the news for the game that they showed was really content-wise, was exciting. I think Nagoriyuki looks really, really cool. He looks really unique. His buttons are massive. His damage output is crazy scary. And I think that the consequences to his Berserk mode are, deserve exploration, a little bit more exploration. I'm really interested in that.
I'd like to see it more because we didn't even see it go off in the exhibition match.
Yeah,
because I mean, obviously, because Goichi's gonna manage his meter perfectly, but
yeah, we're seeing characters like current characters that have their kits massively changed. For example, Milia has no pin, so it's like that already shows the philosophy of like, yeah, this is gonna be a different game. Milia doesn't have pin. So it's like, who was Milia before? People are just like, oh my god, her pressure is gone. She's gonna be able to just jump into the air and air dash, and then what can she do? Nothing. It's just like, yeah, but it's a new game, so she's got to figure it out. So I can tell that people are struggling because they're trying to do the old Milia stuff, but they're not like trying to identify potential new things with her. And the way that even Ramlethal can't put her swords out anymore.
She's a different character.
There are different characters.
I think Giuna said they described her as like a shooting character on the
they said she's shooting type. She shoots her swords or some shit like that. So I'm really excited to see how the current roster, or rather the carrying roster, evolves. And I'm really excited to see what the new characters do, i.e. Giovanna, who looks the sickest out of all of them, if I may say.
Not according to some.
Without bias. Yeah, well, her design looks boring. If you're saying her design looks boring.
Fucking business casual is the sickest fucking costume in every fucking fighting game. Go fuck yourself.
It is cool.
Everyone knows that.
Look at KOF characters. Look at Terrence. Look at Terrence Bogard, and then look at Vanessa.
Terrell.
Look at Vanessa's so cool.
Yeah.
Not any more cooler than Terry, but like she fits. It's sick. And I think Giovanna still fits because she's business casual, but she has like 6 belts. She has big ass flare pants, and she has boots with paw prints on the bottom, and a ghost demon dog that you can pet. Shut up, Dom.
Honestly, the dog is not selling me on Giovanna at all. It's Giovanna herself.
Shut up.
I'm interested in Giovanna, the character. The dog is like, whatever, dude. Because
for the record,
that dog is so Guilty Gear that it just looks like it should be in the fucking background of a level.
For the record, the dog attacks.
The Dom.
It does attacks. But Dom is so against petting dogs that he hates the dog.
Well, no, I don't hate the dog. I think
Dom
Giovanna looks cool. I think that, and unique, and I think that fucking, what do you call it? The dog just looks like, straight up, it just looks like something that's in the background of a Guilty Gear level.
Yeah. But to continue my point,
they just pulled something out of the background. They go, give her the dog.
It's cool. It's cool
I guess.
shit. It's cool shit. But to continue my
She,
point,
did you see the frame by frame stuff for her? She actually, like when the dog attacks, she like goes into stances with the dog.
it's
like,
cool.
yes.
It's cool as hell,
man.
dude. I saw that where she does like the little like crosses her arms into like a beat. Oh my god, that character is so sick. I could talk
sick.
the whole rest of the podcast about Giovanna. I'm not gonna do that.
Speaking of sick, what up,
huh?
Marvin? The champion from last week.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Look
fact.
at that.
Yo,
Shout out to
Big
Marvin
congrats
Pye.
to
I
Marvin
don't think
Pye,
we
by the way.
brought this up, but Chicago won both.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, we
both
did.
things
Absolutely.
for the Midwest. So
Yeah.
everyone else sucks.
Uh,
Everyone's trash.
uh,
And Chicago's the shit, and you guys
Yeah.
can go fuck yourselves. Remember
So-
when I said forever ago that I was like, Chicago's the best ever, and we're going to prove it? And then it's like, well, what do you got now? Hey, this is the best possible connections you could get in the entire country between these groups. Maybe you had a few four-framers, maybe, but it doesn't matter because we won, you lost, you suck, we're great. Marvin Pye's out there flexing on people, about to
Yeah,
buy
that was
1,000
actual
coats
flex.
and shit because it's about to be cold as fuck, and it's going to be great.
It was good stuff. So congrats to Marvin Pye and T. Effing Bowler.
T.
Terrence Bowler.
Timothy Bowler. Yeah, Marvin Pye, best
Is
PvT
actually
player in the Midwest.
secretly Terrence.
But yeah, to continue my point about Strive, when it comes to like system changes, those are things that I am not too familiar with, so I won't be able to have too much of opinion
Yeah.
on. But then there's the topic of the release date and the pricing. I personally don't have an issue with that. I honestly think that
Hold
like,
up. Before you go away, I'd like to, because these are two big topics, right? I'd like to say for a moment, the development of the HUD is still garbage, and the fact that they're still using that lobby system is trash. And you say that they're listening, but it's like we're chipping away at the
Hey,
armor.
Look,
Here's the
look,
thing.
Chipping away.
here's
as
the thing.
long as there's rollback underneath that armor, I don't care.
Yeah,
Like that, like if I'm gonna keep it a buck, I don't care.
I don't care.
Make the lobby look like fucking Atari 5600. I don't care.
If
it
it
looks
works-
terrible.
But what
Everybody
if
doesn't
it
like it.
work, Dan?
What
As long
if
as
it
I
doesn't
mean,
work?
obviously it's gonna work. Obviously it's gonna work.
Yeah,
But
I think-
it's gonna work. I'll say this: it'll work better than Sam Show's lobby.
yeah.
We know that
absolutely
for
will.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely will.
So-
Putting the
so-
agency in the players' hands to determine their own skill and stuff like that is more or less just like, you want to find a match, you better be honest with yourself. You know, I think that's cool. You want to win matches, better be honest with yourself. It's like the
There is a-
skill-based matchmaking in shooting games, like when COD, because how like they don't like it, but it's just like you should get good then. In Strive, it's more or less just like, yeah, you want to actually like fairly win matches and you want to like feel good, then you should be honest with yourself. But it puts the agency in the
It's
players'
curious. I'm curious to that like social experiment that they're putting out there. But as far as the price point goes, right? Like, I mean, what are you gonna? The price point is it's a fighting game. You know, you're gonna come in, you're gonna pay for the base game.
I didn't
You're
know
gonna
what people
pay
were
for
complaining.
probably DLC.
Yeah.
And you're
I
gonna pay
understand.
for a season pass on
Yeah.
top of that,
Yeah.
and it's like, ugh, fucking Leffen posting. Stop picking on Leffen, because Leffen was the first guy. As things go on everything
Fair
Twitter
enough.
related, the motherfucker that doesn't actually play fighting games well,
Hello?
he goes, listen, I don't give a fuck about that sick Goichi fucking fight. That was the beginning of Dragon Ball. See that? Watch Leffen play Goichi today. I don't care. His skill is irrelevant, and his opinion means nothing to me.
Well, that's a great way to set some ground. Let's see what you got to say.
You're goddamn right. That motherfucker goes, fighting games are too expensive. Motherfucker, you steal your game. He pays no money for Melee. Like, he doesn't pay anything. Of course he's going to be like, I don't want to pay all this money. It's keeping people out.
I mean,
Because your
that's,
game is fucking free.
That's Nintendo's fault, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, that's a different
That's a
podcast.
completely
But
different podcast.
what I can say is, personally, I expected Strive to be full price. I expected there to be a season pass. I expected there to
otherwise?
be different
People that
different
listen to
versions coming out. Yes, does it suck that people who buy a certain version get it 3 days earlier? Yeah, it does, but I mean,
Does it?
online's not going to be active. The
Does it?
online's not even going to be active, so you're really getting 3 days of labbing.
Yeah,
And-
I don't see how that's a problem.
Yeah, dude, remember when everybody got the early version of Granblue?
But that's a whole. So for it's the difference is we didn't know when NA Grand Blue was coming out in the beginning. We had no idea.
Yeah.
Then it was a whole month, and let me tell you that the month, 3 days, whatever, a month, that you could tell who had the Japanese release when the NA release came out, because NA release people who jumped in were like, "Yo, I'm gonna play Grand Blue." Counter hit overhead, you're already out the game, like immediately. Yep. So like, a month does matter. 3 days with no online, and you're just labbing in a pandemic. You're honestly just paying 3 days for 3 days of training room time, unless you live with someone who games. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, and that's only of the three of us. That's only Seth right now.
Smoking the fuck out of everybody.
I mean, but I'm going to, obviously, I'm getting the 3 day early one, right? Because I want to mess around in the lab. I enjoy the labbing process, but I just, this with Strive, I don't think that this is like going to keep people out of the game. Like, I honestly don't. Like, just it's a video game that you have to buy. You don't have to buy the season pass right away, right? You can wait. So
yeah, you can wait. You can wait to see if the season pass is even worth it. And then people are complaining about like, oh, I have to get the more expensive version to get the game 3 days early. It's like, you don't have to get the game 3 days early at all. I mean, like, I understand if you want to do the lab work, but if you're going to be doing the lab work, you're likely going to be paying for the DLC characters in the first place, you know, because you're that type of player. So it's more or less just like, what did players expect when they announced the price? In all honesty, games on the next-gen consoles are increasing in price.
$70.
$70 is now going to be the standard.
I mean, not Miles Morales, Demon Souls.
Demon Souls is $70 because of, like, it's not even like the development cost. It's just like, that's just how much games are going to be worth now, because they're just like much superior products. And if this game has, I'd pay $70 for a fucking rollback. All right.
Oh, hell yeah.
Strive to have rollback, and they say like, look, that was hard. I think we should have like have it cost more. I'd be like, okay, that's fine, because I'm getting an optimal experience. I'm getting a top tier product. And then honestly, what did fighting game players expect? What did anybody expect for it to be less than $60? What fighting game comes out that is like, you know, BB Tag is like $100 to have all of the content come out. That came out as a full price game.
BB Tag and Dragon Ball are some of the most expensive fighting games you can own.
And Grand Blue.
And Grand Blue.
Oh,
and
yeah,
guess what?
And Grand Blue.
Y'all play,
Anime trying to get as much money
that
as
shit.
You know what? I'm not even a developer apologist. In fact, if you know me and conversations I have with Jackson, and Jackson, you know, O-Scouts is by trade, well, I should say by education, a developer. Yeah. He spent his years in college to become a game developer. I fucking hate game developers because they don't care about us at all. I mean, and he is on the other extreme where he's like, you guys just hate us because you just expect too much of us.
Look,
I have no expectations for devs to do the right thing ever, and I have no problem with the pricing model of what they're doing, because it's the standard at this point.
Look,
I would have to have been complaining a decade ago, which I was, for that to have changed. So I'm not surprised that Guilty Gear is going to be a fucking like $99 game immediately.
All I'm gonna, no, it's not. It's not like because you're pairing the DLC with it, the season pass, which like you can still get the deluxe edition or like the digital, whatever the version above of it. It's not even like $35 of a season pass. You still get the full package. But to counter your argument, big shout outs to Capcom for making the full game $40. $40.
You really want to talk about Capcom and pricing?
Every character, every stage,
they did that now.
Yeah, dude, you remember Street Fighter Cross Tekken on disc DLC? Seth, you fucking simp. You Capcom simp. You motherfucker, on disc DLC. It was on the game. You could play it. They modded that shit in. They were like, oh, wait. Oh, those characters were there the whole time? Why are they DLC? They're LC. Like, loadable characters.
Loadable.
They're right there.
Loaded characters.
You fucking bitch. Don't ever try that shit again. Get off this podcast.
I'll say this. Street Fighter V Champion Edition is a great buy. If you're looking to get into, it's a fantastic buy for.
Hell yeah!
Don't like it is. You can't. What else can you say about that? But moving back to Strive and trying to kind of staying on topic. I think that I'm excited for Strive for a number of reasons. I think that, you know, the cast for me, because, you know, like I played Guilty Gear XX way back in high school. You know,
Right.
I'm in the boomer. I'm in the Sonic boomers. Give me the Guile hat. I enjoyed it. I dropped Gear for a long time. I dropped fighting games for a long time in general, but I enjoyed Gear. But to me, Strive has the most exciting roster for me personally. And if you know me, I mean, you can just look at the shirt, so you know what it's all about. And the fact that they have so many different characters that are black and brown, fantastic. I think it's amazing. It excites me. And I, especially in the anime genre, because you already know.
And
I was gonna say
Japan
that.
doesn't believe in black people.
I was gonna say that, like for
They
an
don't
anime,
think
for
they're
an anime
real.
show, it's sick.
So
It's-
big ups to Daisuke for that, and for that reason alone,
Yeah.
I'll purchase the game. But it's gonna be, I'm excited just for other reasons as well. So
As
I don't, you know, I don't.
have to purchase the game.
he made
yeah,
his black
I-
characters the coolest characters.
That's true.
He did.
Really did.
That's true.
He did make the black. It's not like, you know, cannon fodder shitty characters.
No,
It's like, no, that it's not like 1980s Balrog where he was like just really offensive to look at, or worse, DJ,
DJ was worse.
or just T-Hawk. Just
T-Hawk is. Let's not even go into that.
Just his name alone, but whatever. Yeah,
They're
no.
supposed to be characters.
It's great to see that the characters that they have in Guilty Gear that are of color are cool.
Yeah.
Now, you know that lore-wise, they're probably insignificant because they got to get there somewhere. They got to get there somewhere.
Yeah, we don't know about how the story. Well, that's not true. Ramlethal
Ramlethal is very
significant to the
story
lore.
significant.
But
yeah.
So, but we don't know about the other characters.
But I mean, like, other
and,
characters
you know.
aren't.
Yeah, we'll see. But the point is,
Oh, yeah,
just
dude,
to kind of wrap up.
I forgot about Venom. I mean,
Yeah,
he's not.
I didn't forget about Venom and Potemkin. But what I'm saying is, I'm excited for the game for a number of reasons. I don't have a problem paying for it full price. If you know, it's what I expected. You know,
Yeah.
it's Marvel 2, just like I expected.
I don't know how you
So-
expected anything different.
It is what it is at that. But
Yeah,
we're gonna
it's
we're gonna
people
shuffle
looking
into
for
the
the
other two topics very
Speaking of
quickly.
shuffle.
I know we got to wrap up. Yeah. So speaking of shuffle, Mban released some tasty spectator mode. We haven't really dove into it as a group yet, but there are plans for LK to be doing some with the mobile suits. So stay tuned for that. I think Mban being updated. There was an announcement either Japan time, so either right now or earlier in the day or later in the day. There's sometime they're going to be announcing more about PS4 Mban. So stay tuned for that. But the
Oh,
spectator mode, we will be putting together something fancy. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Get ready to hop back in the mobile suit. I'm excited for that.
Find your partners. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
find your
force
partner.
Seth to be mine, even though he's just already, what do you call it? He's got Dan, and Dan is a better partner. But I'm gonna ruin the experience for Seth with my scrubbedness, and I'm gonna enjoy it.
Dom immediately just running in between two mobile suits. Just-
And I'm not cutting.
At least
One.
no, he's
I
not.
have fun.
He's definitely
Yeah,
not.
exactly. Just I'll have fun. I think
Fun.
that's dude, that's definitely you know what's weird about Mban is that I don't have fun when it's super competitive in that game, but if I get 10-0'd by the best Soul Calibur 6 player, which I've had happen, one of the best Soul Calibur 6 players put me in a hotel room and fucking destroyed my soul in what felt like 2 minutes, and it was the first to 10. I still had a great time.
I mean, sometimes
well.
the fun stuff is not the best, right? Like what you think is cool, and the combos that are cool in another fighting game.
That's why I play grapplers, dude.
Aren't they?
Everything that's the fun stuff is the best stuff.
why I dropped
I mean,
Chun-Li,
it
bro.
also depends on the game. Like, if your approach to Mban has to be, if you're trying to be competitive in that game, it's a very detailed-oriented game, where on the surface, it doesn't look like it. So, you know, that is, you know, it's just a commitment. And so, you know, different people have different fun different ways. But having said that, we're definitely going to be putting something together for that. Very quickly, you know, we talked about rollback before, so it's nice to see that KOF 02 UM had a rollback beta. Seth and I played a couple of matches of that. We kind of messed around. Seth won't block full screen fireballs from King.
Why should I have to?
I don't do because I knocked you down, so I get the right to throw full screen fireballs.
But you're full screen. Why do I have to block? It doesn't make sense.
It's up. Anyhow, so that game is nice.
I can't believe Scrub Quotes made its way onto EX Saturdays.
I'm not blocking.
You have to.
My turn.
It's a meaty fireball.
up.
I knocked you down.
I'm waking up. It's time to do things.
All right. Well, anyhow,
What a DP
that game is pretty fun. I enjoyed it. The connection was smooth. I didn't feel any. It felt really good actually.
It felt pretty bad.
Well,
It felt really
I
bad
mean,
having
if you
to wake
block,
up.
it'll feel better. But to me, it felt great.
Agree, disagree.
And then recently announced Guilty Gear Accent Core plus R.
yeah.
No hard R's, please.
Plus R.
Yeah,
Don't you say
shout outs
anything.
to Ryudo.
You shut your mouth.
Oh, if you haven't seen that tweet, do yourself a favor and go ahead and check out Ryudo's one of the
hold on,
one
I'll
of the
look it up.
golden tweets of Twitter. I feel like.
I feel like it's one of the best tweets of Twitter
I missed
ever.
it. I missed it. What did it say?
You've never seen the Ryudo tweet? You gotta check it out, Seth.
Which
But
one was it?
Accent Core plus R going to be getting rollback. I think it's at the end of the month. I think it was October 29th or somewhere around there. I'm so happy for the Guilty Gear fans. I'm gonna dip my toes in obviously whenever rollback shows up. So might try it out. Thinking about looking at Justice. Since Christian said it was Justice, she's a slow character, so I kind of want to prepare for Nago Ryuki a little bit. With the movement and all that, but we'll see what happens.
Robokai would
but
also
that's the character that interests me the most so far in that roster.
For plus R, I don't know if I'll explore it all too much. I should, if I'm trying to learn gear, and if I'm trying to like translate all that stuff over into Drive, like that's definitely could be the move. But it's the same situation as you, where I was just like, I don't know.
Strive looks so different though. I don't even know how much gear transfers.
That's what I'm saying. They said it's gonna be very different, but I should learn like.
I mean, obviously, like Roman cancel off of Gatling pressure, stuff like that is,
Yeah.
well, not Gatling. Gatling. Roman cancel off pressure, because I'm not sure if Strive has the full. Strive doesn't have the full Gatling system, but you know how it is. So, I'm going to take a look at it. It's $15 on the Steam store, I think, or 20. So, I'll definitely pick it up, mess around with it, see what it is. If I end up really liking it, I end up really liking it. If not, it'll still be cool to mess around with it. So, other than that, I think that's pretty much it for our list of topics. Any closing thoughts, Seth? What have you been doing this week? Anything you want to shout out?
This upcoming week, I don't really. There's so many there's so many projects that I have lined up, like personal stuff that I have lined up for myself, and like games I do want to play, and then Genshin impacts my life, and then puts a hard halt to everything. That's
a whole different. Yeah.
I gotta stop. I think I think I need a break. I think I need a break from Genshin because of how like active I've been keeping up with it, and how like active you have to be in order to stay on it. It's just now it's just like I want to play something. The thing about me is like I get bored so easily. Like I'll play something for a while and I'll really get invested, but I have to do something differently in it in order for my interest to stay there.
Sure.
So it's like when I play a fighting game, I can't play the same character, or at least like do the same thing on that character for too long. Otherwise, I'm just like, oh, I want to play another thing. So it's like I worry because I do that with every game. I did it with Granblue when Granblue came out, and I was just like, yo, Charlotta's sick, and then I stopped playing Charlotta, and then I played like Jita. And then I played Zoe, and now I don't play the game. So when Strive comes out, when Giovanna comes out, and I think she's perfect, which she looks perfect, I'm gonna gravitate towards something else. So I think right now,
I don't think so. I think. Oh, you're saying you're gonna gravitate towards Strive because of that?
Yeah, I think Giovanna's great. I think she looks fun.
Yeah, I think Giovanna actually matches both your playstyle, your aesthetics, like everything. So I think you'll have.
And I mean, like that's why. In Tekken, what's weird is like when I can commit to one character, like Ham knows, I only play. We lost Dom. Dom.
All right. Well, we're gonna finish it.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up. Anyway.
Wow, everything's broken. Dom literally broke the stream.
Dom broke the whole stream.
Wrap up.
I mean, you're good, but Dom.
Am I?
What is happening, Dom? Anyway, to wrap up, I have nothing really coming up. Just tune into my stream where I'll intermittently stream certain things. I've got Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate's fun and boring, but it's really fun. I got Ghost of Tsushima, got the multiplayer update. That's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
still
been
learning
fun.
gear. I might stream some gear matches. I don't know, but I'm also just trying to play some more fighting games in general. So, but that's it for me. Dan, what do you have, Dan?
I'm gonna pick up. I know I need to finish the Dark Knight series, the Batman Telltale.
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
pick
yeah,
that
yeah.
back up. I got a promotion at work, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been really diving into that. I do have plans to finish those last two episodes, and then we'll see where the streaming goes from there. I'm definitely gonna try to stream. I might change the day because Wednesday seems to be the blow up day. So maybe I might do a Thursday or something like that. We'll see. Or maybe a weekend day. Depends. Gotta balance. Everything together, and obviously family comes first. So we'll see what happens in that scenario. But you can always catch me on twitch.tv/BLM Dynamite or lurking in Seth's stream or Dom's stream, and the Twitter is at BLM Dynamite as well. And I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for listening, for tuning in. And we appreciate you. EX Saturday is probably going to end up being a monthly thing. So we'll be back in November at some time. But as always, thanks for jumping in chat, for talking with us.
Yeah.
And,
As of right now, there's
Dom's,
it's no.
Dom's trying to struggle, so we're gonna wrap it up soon.
Okay. All right, man. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll
Yep.
see you next month.
Peace.
Peace.